Efteling, in my opinion the best theme park if you don't take major franchises like Disney and Universal into account. But what makes Efteling so special, and what do you need to know in order to have a great day at the park? Efteling, located in the Netherlands, is the country's largest and best rated theme park. It originally opened as a sports park, but in 1952 it began attracting more visitors with the opening of its fairy tale forest. The fairy tale forest still exists to this day, but we'll get into that later in the video. By the way, if you want to skip to specific topics, make sure to use the chapters found in the description of this video. Nowadays, Efteling features 8 roller coasters and countless dark rides. In my opinion, they are one of the best at making these dark rides. But before we dive into the rides themselves, it's important to understand what makes Efteling so special. To really get what makes Efteling so special, you have to understand that the park doesn't just rely on the rides themselves, but rather on the entire experience. Take, for example, that double family coaster Max and Moritz. The ride is based on the story of 2 naughty German boys who are always getting into trouble. When you look around the area, you can see many small details that show their mischief. Even while waiting in the queue, there is still entertainment that keeps you interested in the story. There is also music and a lot of attention to detail, which makes the experience even better. Instead of just waiting for the ride, you already feel like you are part of the world of Max and Moritz before the train even leaves the station. This immersion and attention to detail is what makes Efteling so special. Now that we know that, we can move on to some more practical information. Efteling is located in the Netherlands, just under the city of Tilburg in the town of Kaatsheuvel. Entry prices vary from 40 to 56 euros a person a day, depending on when you visit. The parking costs an additional 15 euros. If you want to stay a couple of days at the park, you can stay at one of Efteling's hotels or resorts. There are 4 in total. One big entrance hotel, named Grand Hotel, then of course 2 resorts, and the Efteling Wonder Hotel. All of these have great connections to the park by foot or by a small shuttle bus. It's good to know that when you stay at one of these resorts, you get half an hour earlier entry to the park and some of its rides. Efteling has a lot of good roller coasters and rides. When you walk through the entrance, you end up on the Isle of the 5 Senses. Here, Efteling is going to be building a brand new roller coaster, Mission Lumina. I've made an entire deep dive on this project. For that, check the related video or the video in the description. When you continue your walk, the first thing you're going to see is Fata Morgana, their Eastern themed dark ride. Here, you ride through the tales of 1001 Nights. A good tip for this ride is to skip it in the morning, as the queue is way shorter in the afternoon. This is because the ride is way closer to the entrance, so most people go there first. Next to Fata Morgana lays Max and Moritz, the double family coaster I talked about earlier. This coaster has a top speed of 36 km an hour and is fun for the whole family, but aimed at kids. It's been made by Mack Rides and doesn't have a lift hill. Every piece of the track is powered and therefore the train runs at a fixed speed. When walking past this, you'll find a rapid river, Piranha. Piranha was the first rapid river that wasn't built in the USA and first of its kind to have the circular loading station. Moving on, we will find Danse Macabre, Efteling's newest ride. In Danse Macabre you'll be experiencing the story of Joseph Charlatan, whose entire orchestra disappeared after playing the song Danse Macabre. The attraction is a first of its kind intimate dynamic motion stage. Although the ride is advertised as spooky, it's perfectly fine for the whole family. Looking at this attraction, you can see what makes Efteling different from most theme parks. The insane attention to detail and perfect mood makes it an insanely good attraction. Efteling doesn't follow a paid priority queue system. Instead, you can, at this attraction, log into a virtual queue from off your phone. This way, you can do something else and still progress in the queue. After the time has ended, you get to enter the attraction a lot further down the line. I would recommend doing this, as you don't miss anything during the first part of this queue. One more thing about Danse Macabre is that there are 6 different positions that you can ride. This means that truly every ride is different and you will get a completely different show. Trust me, I have done this ride over 50 times and I'm still not bored. Moving on, we cross into a totally different realm. Here you'll find most of Efteling's roller coasters, starting with Baron 1898. Baron 1898 is a more famous ride on this channel as I have totally recreated the entire thing in Planet Coaster 2. But that aside, it's at the moment Efteling's most thrilling ride. This B&M dive coaster tells the story of a baron who mines for gold but stumbles upon ghosts warning him not to take the gold or else they will seek their revenge. Baron 1898 plunges you down a 37.5 meter free fall, reaching a top speed of 90 km an hour. After this, you'll go into the Immelman version and the 0G roll right after. After that you have a helix and a quick airtime hill, and then a turn before you hit the brakes. It's a short coaster, but it still peaks at a G-force of 3.9 and opened in 2015. Once again, I think this is one of the better Efteling attractions, being extremely well themed. In the same area as Baron 1898 you'll find these 3 small kiddie drop towers. They are just new, but if I want to include every flat ride in the park, this video would take too long and some of them aren't that major, so I'm gonna skip them. From Baron 1898 you have a small path going underneath the next roller coaster, the Flying Dutchman. This coaster is more of a mix between a roller coaster and a dark ride. Efteling made this coaster themselves by the design of combat coasters. In this attraction, you'll enter the story of the Flying Dutchman. After the dark ride, the coaster starts a simple layout. The layout ends in a big splashdown at the lake. Don't worry, you don't get that wet at all. On the other side of the lake, there lays Joris and the Dragon, a dueling wooden roller coaster made by Great Coasters International. In this wooden roller coaster, you either ride the blue side or the red side. I always like the blue side more, as red is a bit too shaky for my liking. Both layouts start the same and duel for the whole ride, making for a cool experience. This of course remains a wooden roller coaster, so it's a bit shaky, but it's pretty smooth for a wooden roller coaster. I would certainly recommend doing this one. Now there remains one more roller coaster near the lake. That is Python. Python is Efteling's first built roller coaster and opened in 1981. The coaster is a Vekoma made and features the classic double loop corkscrew layout. The top speed is 75 km an hour and it inverts 4 times. This coaster is a bit old but it's well maintained, so although it's a bit shaky, it's doable. Python has become quite the icon over the years. I think this is because of the iconic layout and great history. Even more reason to give it a go. At Python's entrance there lays a square. Here you can take the train to the other side of the park or enjoy yourself a meal. At this square there are a couple smaller rides but nothing much more. If you continue walking you'll get to a crossroads. From here you can go a couple ways. We will go to the right. This is quite a long path of nothing, except for this railway where kids can pedal to move their train forward. The reason why there's nothing much here is because Efteling can't get building permits for the land next to this path. At the end of this path you'll find a square with 3 attractions. Let's start with the big bird in the room, Bird Rock. This is an indoor family coaster with a top speed of 65 km an hour. The bird is Vekoma and the entire ride takes around 1.5 minutes. This ride isn't as well themed, but as almost every park, Efteling also has some older areas. This doesn't mean that the ride isn't fun anymore. Next to the coaster is a kid/family dark ride named Carnival Festival. For me, this ride is very nostalgic. But I think for the first time visitor this ride can best be compared to It's a Small World at Disney. In Carnival Festival you travel together with Yoki and Jet to a bunch of different countries all around the world. If you walk down the big path next to Carnival Festival and stick to the ride, you'll end up on the Anton Pieck Square. On this square, named after the first designer of Efteling, Anton Pieck, you can experience different classic rides and eat good food like ice cream and loaded fries. This square features 5 attractions in total. On the right side of the square, there lays a little village. This is the village of the Laugh people. This village is a walkthrough attraction where you can explore the village. You can also ride their monorail to get a view of the village from above. Something else you can see from the monorail is Villa Volta. Villa Volta is Efteling's madhouse. I've been in 3 madhouses so far and I can say that this is the best one yet. Across the street from Villa Volta you can find Dreamflight. Dreamflight is a beautiful dark ride. In this attraction, you'll be traveling through different forests with little elves and rooms filled with planets and stars. This attraction is a must-do for a visit to the park. Another important thing for this attraction: when visiting in the summer, there's a virtual queue available just like the one at Danse Macabre. The only difference is that this queue is only available in the summer. Next to this ride, you can also find the other train station I talked about earlier. If you continue your walk, you stumble upon a big building. This building houses an old carousel and a miniature railway. On the right, however, you will find the entrance to Efteling's famous fairy tale forest. This forest houses over 30 fairy tales and was Efteling's first major attraction. The forest is fun to walk through and get out of the busy park and enjoy some stories or walk through with your kids. The new exit of the fairy tale forest is next to Dreamflight, so we will continue our journey from the entrance. On this spot you can find something to eat, but at the end you'll stumble upon a big castle. This is Symbolica, a really well-themed dark ride that takes you on a fun tour through the Castle of Fantasy. This is a trackless dark ride system made by EFT Ride Systems. Another cool thing about this attraction is the fact that you can choose between 3 routes: the treasure, the night and the music tour. So I recommend doing all of them, but only if you have the time. For the final major show here in Efteling, you must walk to the big lake near Fata Morgana and Efteling Grand Hotel. Every evening there is a big fountain show named Aquanura. This is by far the best way to close off a day at the park, and I think it's almost stupid not to have seen it. Aquanura is Europe's biggest fountain show and therefore the world's third. After of course the Dubai fountains and the world famous Bellagio fountains in Las Vegas. If you can, I recommend watching the show in the night as all the fountains are beautifully illuminated. So, that concludes Efteling. I would strongly recommend going here as it's one of the best theme parks you'll ever go to. Thank you for watching the entire video, don't forget to subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one. Goodbye.